CNC router bits are expensive. So I bought 10 of the most popular 1/4-inch downcut bits to finally answer the question, do cheap bits hold up, or are we all wasting money buying premium? Let's meet the competitors. We've got Temu, Eonsic, Speedtool, CMT Orange, Freud, Whiteside, Cutting It Close, IDC, Jenny Bits, and Amana. So that's our field. 10 bits enter and only one gets crowned the winner. In round 1, we'll be testing raw cut quality, a brutal showdown of edge sharpness against the unforgiving Purple Heart. Round 2 turns up the pressure as we see how these bits wear while cutting through a variety of materials. And if they're still standing, or rather still one solid piece of carbide, they'll face the final boss, the gauntlet. Feed rates will climb all the way up to 1,000 inches per minute. Yep, you heard that right, 1,000 IPM. I've never done that before, but we're gonna find out what happens. Every round, each bit will be ranked 1 through 10 based on the judging parameters for that round. Then they'll be awarded the corresponding points. For example, first gets 10 points, second gets 9 points, and third gets 8 points, and so on. If 2 bits perform the same in a round, they will tie and be awarded the same amount of points. Oh, and one more thing, because lawyers exist. Do not try this at home. Some of these settings are way outside normal ranges. These tests can break tools, damage machines, and bruise egos. Also, manufacturers, don't send me emails. Yes, under proper feeds and speeds, your bits will last longer. Round 1, the sharpness showdown. So in this round, we're judging fresh out of the package cut quality. We're looking at the wood's edge cleanliness, wall smoothness, and overall cut finish. Here's the test setup. We're cutting Purple Heart, which is dense, nearly twice as hard as white oak on the Janka hardness scale. It's a bully, and I love that from round 1. Each bit will take 1 pass, removing an 1/8 inch of material, 300 inches per minute. Depth of cut is 3/4 of an inch, and our spindle speed will be 18,000 RPMs. Collet care and tool changes were very important. We inserted the shanks of the bits the same amount and cleaned the collet at every tool change. All right, Temu, you're up first. $8.36 of internet mystery. Wow. Like perfectly smooth? That is crazy. Okay. Well, flawless. That's number 1, I guess. That is pretty cool. I did not expect that. That didn't go according to plan. The interesting thing is it looks like our bit like rose up in the collet. Now you could chalk this up to user error, but I tightened it like I tightened the one before. So let's actually, real quick, I'm gonna get this off of here. We'll examine what happened on the other side. Is this a bit issue or is this a collet issue? I mean, if you look at it, there's nothing in that collet. The collet is not dirty. You can just see it just slipped in the shank there. All right, so after some thought, we're gonna chalk this up to a DNF. Not saying this is a bad quality bit, but it did not pass our test. After inspecting what we did, how we had it set up, wasn't the setup. Let's see if this next one can handle 300 inches per minute in Purple Heart. All right, Speedtool, quality cut, not bad, not bad. But we did have a little bit of slippage in the collet. So it rose up a little bit. Again, this is a grueling test. But cut quality wise, not bad. I just, the little bit of slippage. The cut is a little bit, compared to the Temu bit, it is a little rougher. If you remember, the Temu bit was was smooth. So this is definitely worse than the Temu. All right, Freud. Okay. Looks a lot like the CMT. You know, we've got a little bit of, if you look, like this isn't just sawdust, this is actually uncut, frayed, like I'm rubbing it hard here. And we've got some ripples in the cut here. Still not as clean as our first Temu bit. All right, so very interesting on the white side here. We've got a little bit of a fray here, just uncut again. But if you look where it did cut, it is much smoother down here. Like it left a very, very smooth face. So I'm gonna put this, I'm gonna rank this probably second. Still not as clean as that Temu bit, but cleaner than the CMT in some ways. I'm gonna say it's equal to CMT. All right, wow. All right, it survived the test, but the cut quality is really rough. If you look, like this is a really rough cut quality. So still not a clean cut, but also we've got some of these chatter marks here. So I'm gonna put this below Freud. I think this is worse than Freud. All right, so now we are moving into the premium bits. So let's see. I don't know. I'm really surprised so far. The biggest surprise is Temu. Temu, which is technically Lame. We'll put it up on the screen. The manufacturer has, I'm just being honest, from this visual test, it has blown the others out of the water as far as cut quality goes. So let's see what these ones can do. Can they dethrone Temu? Impressive. So we've got, it's very clean all the way through here. I mean, you can see a little bit of chatter ripple here. So overall, really clean. I think just this little area right here, we had a little bit of uncut, just fray, where the cut wasn't super clean. But overall, I would say this is probably our second best so far. All right, Jenny bit. You look, we maybe have a little more fray like left behind here, but very similar. And you look right here, it's very smooth. Like there's no hard cut lines in the cut here. Maybe a little more fray left behind, but still very solid. All right, so Amana we got here. We got very limited chatter lines here, very clean. We do have some fray here, you can see, like frayed cuts, but not horrible. I think it's very similar to IDC Woodcraft. So I'm gonna put it in the same line as IDC. Here's the scoreboard after round 1. Temu surprises early with clean Purple Heart cuts. Could we see Temu upend the entire CNC bit market? Eon Sonic is out. The usual suspects at the top of the leaderboard, Amana, Jenny, IDC, all look composed. All right, let's move on to round 2, the endurance battle. This round is about longevity. How much use a bit can take until we start to see it break down. Test number 1 in this round is noise while cutting, because noise equals friction, which equals dulling. means a duller edge. Test number 2 is cut quality at the end of each test set. And test number 3 is microscope inspection for edge rounding and microchipping. So we run every bit through 3 escalating tests. Trial A is pocketing in plywood for 1 hour. Trial B is slotting in white oak with chip load intentionally reduced to build heat. And trial C is slotting in MDF, further intentionally reducing chip load in this abrasive dust maker that loves to cook edges. All right, test number 1, plywood pocketing. 10 bits, 1 hour each. Same pocket routine, just normal feeds and speeds. We want to just put the bits through their paces here and get some wear on them. Nothing exciting to report. Everyone passes with no issues and no noticeable wear. This tells us that even budget bits can get work done without drama when settings are reasonable and cut times are limited. All right, test 2, white oak slotting with a low chip load to create heat. Here, we stack the deck against the edge on purpose. We slow the feed and raise the RPMs to 20,000. So low chip load equals rubbing. Rubbing equals heat. Heat is a great way to reveal weak coatings or soft carbide. The results? Every bit passed. No cracks, no drama here either. Let's move on to test number 3. MDF is the tool-eating boss level. It isn't wood, it's glue and dust. It grinds more than it cuts. So it's the perfect material to try and expose weaknesses in these bits. But honestly, every bit took the test on the chin and carried on. I did notice Temu's bit cut quality struggled. Ragged edges, fuzzy tops, the early Cinderella story might be losing its lead here. Everyone else seems to be doing okay. Let's judge the results of this round and see where they land. First up, noise. I logged the highest decibel recording for each bit on its first 2 slots. Here are the results of the noise trial. With Temu being the lowest, I did not expect these results. But the decibel reader was set in the same location. The decibel reader doesn't lie. Next, we judge cut quality. Remember that these are downcut bits, so we shouldn't see any fraying on the top edge. But Speed Tool and Amana had the cleanest looking cuts. Look at Speed Tool, coming out of nowhere. Then we headed to the microscope. First bit up, Temu. All right, we're just looking for edge rounding and kind of micro cracks here. What the heck? This isn't a downcut bit. Temu sent me an upcut bit, even though I specifically ordered a downcut bit. I went back and checked my order. I ordered a downcut bit. You know, it cut cleanly on that Purple Heart test, but it's an upcut bit. So it wasn't, the geometry changes what those cut results were going to look like. So I'm disappointed in this. Temu tried to Lance Armstrong this competition. And for that, Temu, you're disqualified. All right, next up, Speed Tool. I can confirm that Speed Tool is a downcut bit. All right, let's see what we've got here. A little bit of edge deterioration starting. You can see the shiny there starting to round over. Overall, not bad. Still a really crisp edge. Obviously, there is some rounding, but it's holding its shape really well. But we do have a little bit of edge deterioration. Nice. Freud, there's a little bit there down on the edge, down on the corner. But you can see the overall edge is still has the grind marks on it from sharpening. A little bit of edge deterioration. Okay, white side. Still holding those grind marks. Edge rounding is starting to happen. Here's a big chunk out of it right there. That's interesting. See that big chunk right there in the middle of the screen. Okay, none of the other ones had that. All right, now we're going to get into some coated bits. This is the cutting it close bit. And so we'll probably see a couple different things. Whoa. Hang on a second. Look at that. What I was going to say is with a coating on them, you should get a little better heat dissipation and shouldn't be as much wear. But that was just my guess. You can tell that this edge is by far the worst there. Let's look at this other cutting edge. Same thing. I mean, it's has taken a beating. All right, so we see a little bit of edge deformity happening there. But you notice how the edge is not almost like disintegrating. Now that's the edge is not disintegrating on any of these bits. I'm just describing what it looks like under a microscope. It's still holding its cutting edge. Yeah, it's worn. It's a little bit rounded, but it's still holding it. It's the first time we've seen that. Again, some of the shadows here, as I roll it here, you can see the shadows. So don't be fooled by those. But overall, I think this is the best one so far. All right, so we've got some edge deterioration here. Starting to round. But overall, it's wearing equally. And just remember, all these bits have gone through the same exact 2 hours of testing. Now, Amana is the only one that we have here with this dark blue and purple coating, so it's going to look worse under a microscope because as it's losing that coating, it's really going to stand out. But let's look for uniformity. You see a couple nicks there. The edge is not browning. That's just the coating, so it's not burning. Overall, looking at the edge, it is wearing, but it is consistent. It is not... Yeah, I think this is the best one. It really is. It's consistent. It's better than IDC. It looks good. And here are the results of the microscope grading. So here's the leaderboard after round 2. Neonsik exited early in Purple Heart. Timu is DQ'd for being the wrong bit. 8 bits remain in the fight heading into the last and most brutal test. So round 3, the gauntlet. Here's what we're judging: toughness under extreme stress. The question is simple: did the bit survive the sequence? We will measure and rank the bits based on how far they got. The most points a bit can get in this round is 10, plus a 2-point bonus if they finish the course without breaking. We're going to be running passes in plywood at 5/8 of an inch depth of cut, with the spindle at 24,000 RPMs. 5 passes per bit, back to back, with speed escalating. Pass number 1 is 30 inches per minute. This is the painful crawl. Almost no chips, a lot of friction, and a lot of heat. And then right after that, we're going into 400 inches per minute. And then we're going into 600. And then we're going to go into 800. And then if it's still not broken, or something isn't broken, we're going to push it all the way up to 1,000 inches per minute at 24,000 RPMs. So each bit will go through this 5-pass sequence until it breaks or survives. All right, let's see what happens from the slow crawl to 1,000 inches per minute. My butt cheeks kept getting tighter. It slid up into the collet. We know that it finished 2 passes successfully, but the other 3 we're not counting because they weren't full depth. So it didn't break at 400 inches per minute, but we don't know about 600, 800, or 1,000. All right, so the CMT bit, the CMT orange bit that we got from Menards locally, finished the test. It finished the gauntlet. 1,000 inches per minute. Didn't break. Well, we broke a bit. Freud. Ooh, Freud is hot. It is hot. On the 1,000 inches per minute, Freud snapped. So, sorry, Freud. White side survived the gauntlet. 1,000 inches per minute. It didn't flinch. Didn't flinch. All right, rooster tails and all those chips flying out. Cut in close, past the gauntlet. Another one passes the gauntlet. I'm seriously impressed. I'm seriously impressed. This, I think, just reinforces that most bits are broken when something goes wrong, not when you're making a linear pass. That's what I'm finding. Carbide is tough. All right, Jenny did it. 1,000 inches per minute after 30 inches per minute at 24,000 RPMs. Throwing them chips. All right, Amana. She passed the test. All right. We tallied everything up. And the champion of this CNC bit battle with 48 points is IDC Woodcraft. So back to my original question. Do cheap bits hold up, or are we all wasting money buying premium bits? Well, I think from our not so scientific test here, the cliche, you get what you pay for, mostly holds. The pricier bits generally perform better across clean cuts, endurance, and the gauntlet test. But that's not the same as saying buying premium is always the right answer, because your use case matters. What these tests really revealed to me is that carbide is really hard to break. Seriously, it reminded me that most bits break from setup errors and not speeds and feeds. So, if you're new or trying a risky toolpath or dialing in work holding for the first time on a weird shape, use the budget bit. Crash the inexpensive one in cheap material. Learn on it. Break it if you have to. $8 hurts a lot less than 36. But when cut quality and efficiency matter, or when you're carving the last pass on something that's headed straight to a client, that's where premium bits earn their price. Geometry, carbide quality, and coatings show up in production settings and the final product. I think if we were to keep going with these tests, we would start to see the bits separate themselves. We started to see that, but I think it would just become more evident the further we went into the tests. If you take nothing else from this video, just remember, you probably can run your bits faster, way faster than you think. 7 of these bits topped 1,000 inches per minute. That is absolutely wild. I had no idea if it was going to work. Now, jump into the comments and let me know your thoughts. I know some of you are already there. If feeds, speeds, and chip load feel like alphabet soup, that's literally what I teach step by step in the CNC Kickstart. It's designed to keep you from doing what I did as a beginner, buying the most expensive bit and snapping it on day one. If you want to kickstart your CNC journey, check out the link below, and I will see you in the next video. How many clamps can you run through? Just put stuff out there.